See what happens.
Can I have your attention, please? The City of Lynn Zoning Board of Appeals agenda Tuesday, March 15, 2022 is now in session. Roll call.
Mr. Lopez Hernandez.
Present.
Mr. Makawa.
Present.
Mr. Wooten.
Present.
Mrs. Crowitz. Present. Mr. Callen.
Present.
Mr. Bennett.
Present.
Ms. Maggio. Present. Mr. Duffy.
Present.
Mr. Olson.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Accept the minutes. Accept the minutes. Of the last meeting. Which was. Yep.
Yeah.
I move we accept the minutes
Second.
from last time.
So I'll make the motion?
Motion made, seconded.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. It's carried, unanimous.
This one first.
Which one?
18 Tapley.
This is the first case.
Yep, 18 Tapley.
Yeah, 18 Tapley. First case, guy is 18 Tapley Street.
Tapley Road.
Tapley,
Tapley Road. No, Tapley Street.
yeah, Tapley Street. Mr. Wood, could you read the text on that?
Yes.
On that?
18 Tapley Street, parcel number 055-225-048. Petitioner Juan C. Gonzalez Martinez and Lillian Dion, ZBA 991, to vary the provisions of the City of Lynn zone ordinance to allow for the storage of snow removal equipment and landscape tools, along with 2 commercial vehicles to be upon the property. The variance seeks to permit a contractor's yard in an R2 district.
Thank you. The hearing's open for those in favor.
Thank you, Mr. Callen, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. David Lesperance, attorney appearing for the applicants. We're going to respectfully withdraw this petition. Working with Councilor Jakutis, we were able to solve and correct the problem, so we'll respectfully withdraw it.
Okay, a motion is in order for that.
Could we really read a letter from Councilor Jakutis first on that?
Oh, it's not very much.
Yep.
It's gonna go by fast.
I don't see the tapping here,
Here,
so
you can read that. Wait a minute, is that Tapley?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
it is.
Just want to make sure.
Dear Chairman Collin,
He's reading it.
Yes.
once again, I write this letter in opposition of the above-mentioned petition. However, I do support allowing the petitioner 60 days to remove all snow removal equipment, landscape tools, and commercial vehicles from the property. Thank you in advance for your assistance in this matter.
Okay.
Diana and
You want to
Lucas.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to withdraw?
Withdraw, please, Mr. Chairman.
But, Mr. Chairman, can I just ask a question here?
Sure.
Mr. Kerr made a motion to withdraw.
I just have a quick question here for attorney.
Go ahead.
So we're gonna withdraw it, and then what about the current equipment that's still there? Will that be removed as well?
The equipment has been removed. What it was, the equipment essentially was ladders.
Yeah.
He has a painting company. And a sander, you put it in a pickup truck, a small sander. There are 2 pickup trucks that are there. There are 2 businesses run. One is his wife's.
Yeah.
There is a cleaning company. And the second is this gentleman, her husband, who has a painting company. And that was the 2 trucks, the ladders.
So they'll be
things like
gone.
that.
Part of this withdrawal, everything will be
We
gone.
worked it all out. They found
Sounds good.
room for everything. So
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Council Jacutis as well.
I make a motion to withdraw Tapley.
Motion made.
Second.
I second.
Call roll.
Mr. Lopez Hernandez to withdraw?
Yes to withdraw.
Mr. Makua?
Yes to withdraw.
Mr. Wooten?
Yes to withdraw.
Mrs. Crowitz?
Yes, to withdraw.
And Mr. Kalman?
Yes, that's all.
That's it?
Let's vote.
He's right behind you.
Oh,
No, we're all set.
All set.
Withdrawn. The next one is we're gonna do. What are most of these people here for? Can you ask for most of these? Are we really here for?
I think that.
To see if they, because I wanna make sure it's not Tapley. Because last time we got something,
Oh, it's
last
probably,
time we got something they didn't talk about.
probably tomorrow.
I wanna make sure what they're here for. Yeah.
Same vitality, but he's not here.
How many people are here for the Farrar case tonight? Yeah, that's the majority of the people.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that we
Right
don't leave
opposite
it
the
to last.
So maybe one more case, Mr. Attorney Vitale is not here yet.
No, they,
When have we do?
I think,
What are you here for?
For last week.
I think
Okay,
Mary,
why don't we do this on the 10th weeks?
different project.
No, they just raised it.
Yeah, but now, but that's the one.
Next
And then
case.
Jimmy Rose.
We already skipped
Right
one.
here. 10 to 12
Yes,
Square.
1012 Reed Square. Can you read that?
Green Square, sure. Case number 9993, 1012 Breed Square, parcel number 037-768-019. Petitioner Salvatore Melanco, sorry,
Migliaccio.
thank you, by his attorney Lisa Magon, to vary the provision of the City of Lynn zone ordinance to allow the property to use a parking lot for small delivery vans and employees of Salve the Florist and continue to serve as a parking lot for the resident units at 798-798A Western Ave.
Thank you.
This one first.
All right, so hands up for those in favor. Anyone here in favor?
Yeah,
Are you
Are you
speaking
in
for?
favor?
I
She's the
was-
attorney.
I was the attorney,
She's the
Mr.
attorney.
Callen, Mr. Chairman.
That's Lisa McClung.
I know who she is now. You're in favor, I mean,
I am here
you're
representing,
gonna make a presentation.
I can make a short presentation if it so pleases the
All
board.
right.
I'm here representing Salvador Migliaccio, who owns Salvi the Florist.
Yeah.
We're seeking to continue, essentially continue what the use is being used on the property, which is as parking. Currently, it's the Duarte Funeral Home owns one parcel, the other parcel is zoned R4, but it's currently being used as parking for the funeral home as an accessory use. Mr. Migliaccio is looking to purchase the property. It's under a purchase and sales agreement, but part of that is that he's able to continue using it for parking, which would assist his business and also assist the abutting parcel on Western Ave that currently has 2 apartment units in it, serving as the funeral home. It won't burden the use of the land any further. It may even be lessening the use because Salvi the Florist only has a couple of small commercial minivans for deliveries, as well as a few employees will be using this lot. And it would likely lessen some of the traffic that they currently have existing on Western Avenue. So we are seeking a use variance for that purpose.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone have any questions?
I have a
of the
question.
attorney?
Well, what was the last variance on this parcel?
The last...
Yeah, I'm sure you guys received another variance previously, right?
I don't believe there was because the Duarte Funeral Home uses is in the abutting
Right.
parcel of property, so I don't believe it required a use variance.
So is there a reason that you guys are coming in now?
Because his business, Mr. Donovan has actually issued a decision that he would need one because Salvi's business is not directly abutting the premises, so if he was using the premises, that would be the reason for the variance.
I'll be okay to make a motion to grant, but with the stipulation that as long as Salvi still uses the...
Well, let's go through what they have.
Sure. I don't think there's...
And
Okay.
Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else in favor of this petition?
Yes, my name is Salem Miliaccio, and my family, we've owned Salem Flowers for the past 60 years, and the same location at 793 Western Avenue. And we're here this evening requesting that use variance so that right now, my employees, we park on Western Avenue, and our vans during the day have to be parked on Western Avenue. And we're in a very, very good position in that part of West Lynn because the area is growing, it's developing, and there are more and more businesses coming into the area. And freeing up any type of parking on Western Avenue, particularly in front of where we are at the corner of Western Avenue and Spencer Street, which consistently is losing that light pole on the corner and the fire hydrant. So we have to park, sometimes our 3 vehicles are lined up, and they may just sit there for half the day. And having a spot nearby where we can get it off the street and free up that space would not only benefit our business, but I believe the businesses in the local community in that area. So I would respectfully request that you grant permission. Thank you very much.
I'm a little confused. I'm sorry. You say your business is on Western?
793 Western Avenue.
And you want to park on Breed Street?
No.
Street Square.
Breed Square.
Oh, that's
still
where I'm
Western
Square,
confused.
yes, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Breed Square is an abutting parcel that's
Wrong
has,
property,
Yeah.
sorry.
And actually, that it was news to me, right, that 1012 Breed Square was actually a place. So,
Anyone else here in favor of this petition?
Hi, Mr. Cullen.
Yeah, can you give your name, address, and occupation?
Yes, my name is Richard Nadwani, and I'm the current owner of the Nadwani Funeral Home. And we're in a purchase and sale to sell the property to Salvi. And we've been using the parcel 1012 Beach Square, which is connected to 798 Western Avenue for about 65 years, well beyond my time, for parking, for funerals, for the wakes in the afternoon. So as we all were talking about parking congestion, the funeral home is going to be closed and we're being moved to another location in the city, which has nothing to do with that. But anyways, so as far as congestion wise, the parking that'll go on, they're going to come park cars maybe overnight. They'll be there, but there won't be people going in and out during the day. You know, as you find when you have a wake, constant traffic in and out. So it should lessen the traffic in the square and on Western Avenue where we're located, so.
Thank you, Mr. Nadwani. Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else in favor of this petition? Here and none, I close that. For favor, for those opposed. Anyone here opposed to this petition? Anyone here opposed to this petition? Here and none, I close the hearing for opposed. What is the wish of the board?
I make a motion to grant, well, again, with the stipulation that it remain to Salvi. I think in advance that they decide to turn it to something else in the future, they will still have to come back in front of the zoning board for a change of use. So currently it will go to them. They can certainly park there, but if they end up selling the place and turn it to who knows what in the future, they will still have to come back here for another variance. Okay? Are you guys okay with that?
I think that would have to happen anyway, so
Right.
that's certainly a very reasonable request.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a second to that?
I second.
Your second?
Mr. Lopez Hernandez.
Lopez
Be a
Hernandez.
regular member.
He's a regular member.
He is,
Oh, he is.
Mr.
Yes.
Lopez Hernandez.
Okay, I can't get used to these.
Too many different committees.
Okay. The stipulation to remain to Salvi's Flores for parking only, and if anything changes, come back before the zoning board of appeals.
Correct.
With the stipulation included, Mr. Lopez Hernandez, to approve?
Yes, to approve with stipulation.
Thank you. Mr. Mickwar?
Yes, to approve with stipulation.
Mr. Wooten with the stipulation?
Yes, to approve with stipulation.
Mrs. Crowitz with the stipulation?
Yes, to approve the stipulation.
And Mr. Callen with the stipulation?
Yes, approved.
Thank you.
By unanimous vote.
Thank you very
Good?
much.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
This one,
Mr. Callen.
113 Grove Street is Dave's, that's his last case. He's still here. He's
Same
on
is
113
here.
Grove.
Same as that.
Okay, Dave wants to finish up his, so he can, 113 Grove? Yeah, 113 Grove.
We probably have to see if
All right, next case is 115 Grove Street. Mr. Wooten, you've got the,
Case number 9989, 113 Grove Street, parcel number 055-210-072. Petitioner Rafael Rosa Barberzos, sorry. Thank you. By his attorney David L. Esperanza, to vary the provisions of the City of Lynn Zone Ordinance to allow the convergence of a pre-existing non-conforming single-family home into a two-family home in the R2 district. Said property contains 4,246, I think there's a typo, square feet, more or less, where 12,000 square feet is required, and contains 52.58 feet of frontage, where the zone ordinance requires 75 feet of frontage.
thank you.
That's right.
So it's 42.
That's wrong.
Okay, Mr.
That's the legal.
You have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, again, Attorney David Lesperance on behalf of the petitioner. This is a case where there's a family of 5 living on the second floor here. This house, if I could give a little background quickly, because I know you have a busy agenda. They're there with a Salem Housing Authority certificate. And the Salem Housing Authority and Lynn Housing Authority has inspected this property. The Lynn inspectors have inspected it as an apartment. It's everything except an approved two-family. The gentleman just bought it a couple of years ago, and like others, was wrongly under the impression that it was a two-family. It has the necessary exits, egresses. It's a pre-existing, clearly non-conforming dwelling, even for the R2 district. The only thing I would say is the parking plan that was submitted was a rough sketch. We were waiting for a parking plan of more particularity, and we could not get that. But I have had a constructive legal argument with my brother, Jim Lamanna, from the solicitor's office with respect to parking issues, and the new law that was passed by the legislature last year with respect to half a mile within a transportation or bus terminal. I personally spoke to a state legislature and said, what was the legislative intent with this particular statute? Was it a terminal meaning a train station? Was it a terminal meaning the bus garage on Western Ave? Or was it a bus stop? The person I spoke to, who's also an attorney, said that the intent was bus stops, because not all in the 176 or 78 communities that enjoy or are part of the MBTA don't have train stations, or they might not have a bus garage or anything. So I would suggest that the parking would be exempt due to this provision in the law. Now, again, we have different theories on that, what a terminal is or isn't, and what a bus station should be or shouldn't. But besides that, I think that all the other criteria is met, and
Except this one.
except the parking. Well, there is an
Important one.
not in a formal plan.
Right.
1.5 spaces per unit. I don't know who come up with that formula, probably Sam Vitale, but it was a 1.5 per unit. So we do have enough for 3 spaces, but I don't really think that's the real issue. The real issue is whether or not it's ready to go as a 2-family, and will this help reach the goal of 1,800 plus or minus affordable units in the city, or units of housing. And this is one way to achieve that number. And I know it's a couple of years ago, my friend that I'm looking at, we had this rather lengthy discussion on a matter on Broad Street that was a 3-family, if you recall. But I think the law is changing and changed. And I also believe that given the current housing crisis and the number that the city's trying to reach, projects, if you want to call it like this, or applications like this can certainly help attack that number. And there'd be no change to the neighborhood. It's made up of 2 and 3 families. As a matter of fact, my great-grandfather Lesperance built 13 and 15 Grove Street down the other end, which is a 2-family. So it's not a change for the neighborhood. It's not sneaking anything in or out. So I would ask for your blessing and permission.
Mr. Lamont, you make any comment on this?
I disagree with my brother's characterization that parking is exempt. I think this week there was a good article in the item that Nahat's going to need to rezone because it goes by the commuter rail station and not bus station. So Nahat, being a half mile from the commuter rail station, they're going to have some obligations under the statute. But as far as parking goes, the changes from January 2020 would not apply here. That being said, this board can consider the application and approve, but it is not the opinion of the law department that parking is waived because of any existing law. Matter of fact, I know Senator Crichton actually has a bill that's pending right now, the legislature, to expand from not just the commuter rail station, but to individual bus stops. So if that law passes, I would agree that with my brother that would be a significant change, as we can think of all the bus routes in the city of Lynn, up at Linfield Street, going to Nahat. But there are bills pending that would make, and even in that case, it wouldn't exempt parking. It would move it from the zoning board of appeals to the city council for a special permit. So, but that being said, the board is considered the request.
So it's a single, sorry, it's a single-family home that they want to convert to a 2-family.
It's taxed as a single family, but if you tore it, it's a 2-family.
So it's been separated.
It's not a sneaky move or anything.
But it's been separated as a 2-family.
Yes, many, many moons ago. When, we don't know.
And then, how many bedrooms?
I believe where's my client? So here's 3 bedrooms on the 2nd floor, correct? 3 bedrooms on the 2nd floor.
And then the
First floor is 3, okay.
So 3.
In, the city hired consultants for the inspectors, and they're doing a bang-up job. They really are. And it's causing some of these types of applications to come in. If you're not satisfied with my very crude parking plan, I can ask that I submit a more particular plan. But I don't really think parking's an issue on that street.
So right now you're showing 3 parking spaces?
3, but that's not a certified parking plan. That's my crude rendition of one.
I just have 2 questions. So the petition bought a single family. He bought a single family, not a 2-family, correct? Right?
You want to answer that for us?
It was posted as a single family, not a 2-family.
Wait a minute. Let's just one.
Sure.
You got the floor.
Yes,
We
Mr.
don't
Calvin.
want- Yeah, we don't want, point to others.
Okay.
Yeah.
2-family, they're under the impression it was a 2-family.
That's what it's on Zillow right now. So if you looked up Zillow, it's showing it's a 2-family, not a 1-family.
Wait a minute, first of all,
I'm sorry, Mr.
we
Calvin.
gotta ask him his name, address, and his occupation.
Yes.
He wants to talk, he on. He can come on.
He, the,
Oh, he can come on.
sure, the owner of the property can't speak very good English. This is his business partner. He'll interpret for him, and if you want to step up, Mr. Callen's right, give your name, please, for the record,
My name's Rainier.
and your address.
I'm 56 West Wyoming, Melrose, Massachusetts.
And your occupation.
I'm a leasing agent. I rent cars.
Oh, I see, yeah, okay. Now, you have some input on this?
I'm helping my friend who is the owner of the property. I'm helping him translate and answering the questions.
So unfortunately on the MLS, it's showing a single family. It's not, so you bought a single family, not a two family.
Right.
All right? A few minutes ago, we heard that
Ask them.
it
You
was
bought
a
a
two, you know,
single
so.
family?
I know by avoiding
It was
being
two-
sneaky,
Uh-huh.
you know, but you knew you bought a single family.
There was 2 families living in
That's,
the
but you
house.
bought a single family,
Right. You bought a single family?
not a two
Wait a
family.
minute, you can't be asking questions that,
He's
He's translating. Would you like him to identify himself as well?
Still, I want to see him right here,
Sure.
okay? And your name and address and occupation.
Of course.
So you want me to say
Raphael.
Raphael,
Rosa Barros.
Yep.
Yeah. So they look at Devin.
All right, you may proceed.
All right, so again, Mr. Chairman, the only issue I'm having here on behalf of the city of Lynn is the fact that this case was denied previously to become a two-family back in the early 2000s. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Now you're back and knowing it was a single family and it's supposed to remain a single family. Now, I think the word I heard earlier was sneaking, right? And it seems like the same process, you know, that happened previously was happening now. Trying to pretend like it's a two-family instead of one thing. I mean meters, you guys have separate meters?
You do have separate meters, I believe, right?
Electric and gas all separate?
Separate, yeah.
They're all separate.
Two separate.
Right. Again, I don't know how I feel about this case in the way it was presented today. Obviously, if we wait a few months, the legislation changes, maybe you don't have to come in front of us. You know,
Well-
so you still have an option here.
Well-
As you understand the way I'm going with this.
Yes, I
Again, I'm
do.
just a single member, but the way I'm going with this is not in favor of your way, pretty much.
Okay. The reason that I put the petition in to begin with on behalf of this gentleman was more so for the family that's living there. And I'm not putting a guilt trip on the board, but they'll be displaced if this is denied tonight. And me personally, I don't see the need for a whole family to be displaced over something that perhaps was stupidity or whatever we want to call it. Everything's on board. Even Mike Donovan agrees that everything's been inspected as if it was a two-family. So the only thing we need is a blessing that it is a two-family, and without that blessing, the family will be displaced.
Is it possible to get a letter from Mike Donovan?
On those
On
words.
his side, on his blessing side, that it's acceptable.
Or the
I think
inspection
what-
reports?
I'm
The
sorry?
inspection reports? You said the inspectors
Yes,
went out
we
there?
have some inspection reports. I have a letter from, in the packet, there was
Those submitted as a packet?
the tenancy approval, you'll see it in there, and
Sorry.
that has to have an inspection. And the rental certificate, rental certificate, and rental certificate for the first floor.
What year is it?
Mr. Donovan will unlikely give a letter such as what I just suggested. He gives a zoning opinion letter, as you well know. So the only thing that he did do for us was said, we will wait and see what the zoning board says.
Wait, he's saying he's gonna wait until he hear from us?
What he said to me was, we would put they were getting citations daily, we'd hold the citations, put in the application, which is what we've done, and afterwards, we'll deal with it that way. That's what he said to us. And they stopped giving the citations out as a result. So,
I have a quick question.
yes.
So when the property was purchased by your buyer's agent, did they pull a property jacket? Because on the MLS listing, it is clearly stated as a single family. It's stated on there 3 or 4 times, I believe. And your agent, it's also their job to do the due diligence of making sure they know what you're selling you. So I guess my question would be why you used the property as a 2-family and then waited till you got the citations before coming before the board.
Okay, let's proceed now. You can't have separate conversations.
No, I'm just translating.
He's translating.
I understand, I know a little about Spanish, not that much.
I would be happy to, I have the rental certificates, which obviously means they were inspected. I don't have the actual inspection reports.
These are from last year as well.
From the health department as well. It's not a building inspection.
All right, so that we can proceed.
All right.
Otherwise, we'll be here all night. We get other,
I think she's still waiting for an answer why.
the answer.
No, she has not received an answer.
So he purchased as 1 family, but there was rented to 2 families. So he just proceed with the rental that was already there. The tenants that were already there on one of them, and the other one moved in, and it got moved. It was replaced with another tenant.
Was there a lease in place
Yes.
for the first one, and then you switched it over?
No, there was no lease.
Okay.
But they're both housing, Lynn housing. And one is
One
Salem
Salem
housing.
Salem, Lausden, and Lynn.
Can I ask how many cars are at this residence right now?
How many cars?
Not enough.
How many cars is there now?
I think 3 cars.
3
I
cars?
think 3 cars. No, 3 or 2.
6 bedroom.
Well, that's-
Okay.
I guess, it's kind of tough because I think previous board members always viewed that kind of tough, that if a single family is converted to a 2-family, they kind of frown upon that. And it's also based on neighborhoods, I think we're trying to figure out a matrix to figure out if it makes sense or not make sense. That's why I think we're kind of struggling with the direction.
I'm concerned about the precedent that we set by approving a 2-family home and one that's already being used as a 2-family home simply because we don't want to displace anybody. We don't want to displace anybody.
No, I'm not suggesting
But the
that.
fact of the matter is this has all been done illegally for the past 22 years. So I'm not really sure.
That's what we have to vote on.
I know.
Well, I can suggest this to the board. We get these in all the time in the office. They come in all the time, and we weed them out. And we don't just throw them out there. Broad Street was an example of one that we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
go forward on, which staying under the new law passed. That was a 3-family that was a 2-family on paper.
Right.
This is in the right district. It's in a mixed neighborhood of singles, 2s, and I think even some 3s on Grove Street, perhaps. So it's not out of place. And you're right with setting precedents, but I think you're going to see a lot more, and you'll have to make the choices on a case-by-case basis. This particular one fits the bill, and especially nowadays with the lack of units of housing. This fits.
And is there anybody objecting to the? Oh, okay.
We have got that.
It's just so hard, like, we need.
All it's done is being
I just have
used.
one
Figure
final,
out.
just one final question to Attorney Lamont. If it doesn't go in the petition's way, can it still come back when the law changes to the city council without actually coming to us?
I would say that that would be a material change in circumstances that would warrant revisiting it.
Okay.
Even if the plans don't change at all, the circumstances have changed because of a change in the law.
And you don't have to wait the 3 years.
2 years, but
The
I would,
2 years
yes,
mark.
with a change in the law, that would be a whole new standard, and for the parking aspect, it would, well, I don't know, I can't speak on a law that hasn't happened yet, but
No, I
it may
understand.
come out of here and go to.
You know, it's good to know
Yeah.
that, so it will at least help me with my decision.
If I can, we'd still need a variance without the parking though, correct?
Yes.
Just as we.
Because it's not, it
Yes.
doesn't have the 12.5.
And the owner does not currently live there? There's no intention of the owner living there, it's just a rental property?
All right, so you had to say so, I guess.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Allen.
you have your presentations done, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else those here, those in favor, no, those opposed? Anyone here opposed to this petition? Anyone here opposed to this petition? Hearing none, close the hearing, those opposed, what is the wish of the board?
Well, we should just make a motion and then vote on it, right?
And what is the
Or-
motion?
Well, that's what I'm
What
asking.
is the motion? You can vote yes or no. So I move that we accept the proposal and make it a two-family home.
I second.
Okay.
Now we can vote on it.
Motion made and seconded that we approve, you said, to grant, you mean to grant?
Mr. Lopez Hernandez?
Yes to grant.
Mr. Markowitz, grant?
Yes, to grant.
Mr. Wooten to grant?
Yes, to grant.
Mrs. Kravitz to grant?
Yes.
And Mr. Callen to grant?
Yes, grant.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
They're gonna get it in 4 years from now. You know what I mean?
I think it was off the previous board. If it was brought up in 2000, I can only imagine.
Can I have your
things
attention,
happen,
please?
yeah. So we have.
I don't have a hand here. Yeah.
In a courtroom in his life.
Next case is 74 Alden Street. Could you please read the text on that?
Case number 9997, 74 Alden Street, parcel number 106410054, to vary the provisions of the city of, petitioner is Michael Versat, to vary the provision of the city of Lynn zone ordinance to allow the storage of an unregistered vehicle on a property to with an F Super Duty flatbed truck, a BMW 328 GTR, etc. vehicles we utilize for work.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. How's it going?
Good. By yourself?
This is my first time doing this, so just bear with me.
Hold it, let's
Oh, no
get,
problem.
Please, concise.
Yeah, just hold on.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
are you in favor?
Yes, I am in favor.
All right, state your name, address, and your occupation.
My name is Michael Brousseau. I live at 74 Alden Street in Lynn, Massachusetts, and I'm an electromechanical technician.
Okay, thank you, you may proceed.
Okay, so I've lived at Alden Street for about a year and a half, 2 years, with my family. My family owns the house. It's a single-family home, and I work on vehicles, mobile dealerships, wherever I'm required to do specialty work. So, given my current circumstances there, and with work and COVID and everything, I decided to start a business on my own and try to take things out. So I have my tow truck in the driveway, and I also partake in racing, so I have a race car that I keep in my driveway as well. My tow truck was down for about a year because I was looking for parts of the transmission as it's being so old. I recently got it repaired, so I'm looking for places to go lease and store currently. But dealing with several neighbors of mine, I've been dealing with harassment and all types of tickets and whatever because they said that I was doing all types of things, which I haven't. They even went as far as starting a smear campaign against me in the neighborhood, saying I was trying to commercialize the street, and I haven't done any such thing. I have made repairs, yes, on my street for neighbors, literally neighbors or family members, but I just simply request that I be able to store my 2 vehicles, which I'm entitled to 1 unregistered vehicle, but I'm requesting for 2, for just those 2 vehicles, period, the BMW and the truck. You know, so I don't have to deal with my neighbors that aren't even on the side of my driveway. They're totally on the opposite side. And it's just a little more than what it is, but that's the concise version.
Hey, anyone have any questions of the petition?
The 2 vehicles are parked off the street?
No, literally in my driveway.
They're in the driveway.
You have to like really look to see the second one, to be honest.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Yes, sir.
Well, I have a question. Who wrote this petition? It says BMW and a GTR.
No, it's the BMW. That's just the name of the vehicle. 328 GTR.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just 2 vehicles.
And a flatbed.
Flatbed, yes.
That's unregistered or is registered?
Unregistered.
Okay. Okay.
Why do you keep an unregistered flatbed?
Well, I just bought it. I rebuilt it pretty much, and it's running. It's up to spec. You know, I'm starting a business. It's my first time doing transport and recovery, so I'm looking for a place in Lynn to lease to, you know, run it out of. But in the meantime, I have it at my house because I have to get my business permit and everything set up for the commercial insurance, and it's just like, you know, a process. So within the next few months, they probably won't be there, honestly. So, but I'm requesting the variance so I don't keep getting these tickets in the mail, cease and desist, for various reasons that they don't even specify on the ticket, because it's not fair to myself, you know, and my family as well, to just keep getting tickets when I'm not, you know, interfering in anybody else's life, day-to-day life, and I don't, you know, do anything wrong on the street. So.
All right, you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else, those here for those in favor, no for those opposed? Anyone here opposed to this
You
petition?
can sit down. Someone's gonna pull.
Yes, person in the rear, come.
Are you opposed or?
I'm not, so
Oh, so approvals come first.
approvals come first. Okay, go ahead.
He's opposed.
He's opposed.
I'm opposed.
You're opposed.
This is a city council.
Right, I understand. Yeah, you know.
I know, but
I'm just letting.
But do you want to go?
He wants to talk.
I want to talk.
Great, thank you.
Coco Alensu, City Councilor, Ward 3.
Oh, name and address and your occupation.
That's the city
I
council.
am introducing myself, sir.
Oh, yeah.
18 Merrill Avenue, Lynn.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. So I got a call from our ordinance office to check on Mr. Michael's residence because of a pending application. I went there, I saw the area, it's legit, but the first thing I asked him is, how's your neighbor happening? His response is they're okay. So I put it with a grain of salt and gave the go-ahead. Lo and behold, my phone and my email, my text were bombarded with calls and email from neighbors. Apparently they have history in the past that I'm not aware of. I'm not in favor or against, because you guys are going to vote on this. My only request is to have a stipulation that it's not going to be a business and he applies for whatever he's applying for, which is just to park his vehicle. And if there's going to be business or whatsoever in the future, then that would be another issue that we have to deal with.
So basically, what's your stipulation?
So he's not doing any business or whatsoever in his property, just park, period. So if you want to use his tow truck or fix anything, it needs to go somewhere, not in that
All right,
area.
thank you. That explains it, Madam Secretary.
Can I just ask Councilor
Yeah,
a quick
sure.
question?
Yes.
So, no money transaction, so you can't Venmo someone money, how's this supposed to work?
I don't do repairs on the property.
But earlier you mentioned you do friends and
I've done-
family members
Yeah,
repairs.
just neighbors on Alden Street, literally neighbors.
But-
That's
well,
it.
that's-
Hey, Mike, we know you're a tech. Can you fix my
I
car?
understand that, but that's contradicting to what he just said, meaning no business at all.
That's not business. I just do
Well,
favors. Like,
With no
literally.
money, no money involvement.
I would assume they help me out as neighbors.
Well, that means
To
it's
keep it happy.
transaction, that means it's business.
You have to understand, I'm not here for him in
No, I'm-
favor.
yeah.
I'm just telling you the situation of what happened.
I appreciate that.
Whatever business or Venmo or anything that's between him or the others, and I am not aware of that.
Well, I would immediately cease, you know, any repairs on the street, you know, granted the permission to continue the zoning there, just to park my vehicles. That's
Okay.
really all it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else here in favor of this petition? None? I close the hearing for those in favor, none for those opposed.
you have a question?
Anyone here opposed to this petition? Yes.
My name is Christopher Farnham. I live at 76 Alden Street, right next door. My family's lived there for...
What is your occupation, sir?
I'm a retired superintendent at the Essex County Sheriff's Department.
Okay, thank you.
My family's lived there for over 40 years, and Michael and his family moved in approximately 2 years ago. Michael has done repair work in the streets for the past 2 years, where vehicles cannot pass to get into their own driveways. There's tires out there, there's vehicles ripped half apart. Not only his vehicles, but vehicles from New Hampshire and other states, vehicles from Massachusetts as well. I live in a residential neighborhood, not a commercial neighborhood. And why I'm speaking out against this is because I have asked many times in the past for Michael to cease and desist. And it just goes really with no concern for other neighbors. There's many neighbors that have to drive through this dead-end street to get to their driveways, and they can't. There's motorcycles on the sidewalk. There's, again, the unregistered vehicles on the street. There's the flatbed at times have been in the way where I can't even get into my driveway. I can't even park in my own driveway because the flatbed's there. And if you ask to move, you're being looked at like, what's the problem? The problem is I want to live in my residence, not a commercial area. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm opposed to this petition.
Can I-
You made the change, wait.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Anyone else here opposed to this petition? Anyone else opposed to this petition? Yes.
My name is Phil Engleis. I live on 84 Alden Street, Lynn. I'm an operations manager. I'm familiar with the situation that both the gentlemen just spoke of. As a resident, I see Michael does do work on vehicles on the street. He says some are for neighbors, and it probably are. And I think some are probably maybe as a business side business. I got no problem with that. When you try to enter the street to get to your driveway, as Chris said, my wife has run into it as well. She's tried to get by. There's people sitting in lawn chairs in the street, or he's working on the car. There's parts all over the street. It's a little difficult to get by. Again, I don't have an issue with him wanting to park or get a variance to park another car unregistered in his driveway. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with what it's causing to have the work done out in the street. I mean, I wish the guy, well, he's trying to make a living, make a few extra bucks or support his family. I got no problem with that, but this kind of way, it's not the right location, not the right situation. I think you should look for a garage somewhere where it would be taken away from the residential neighborhood. And that's really all I have to say about it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here opposed to this petition? Anyone else here opposed to this petition? Do you want to make some statement?
Yes.
No, be brief,
Be very brief. Okay, I've attempted numerous times to open communication with my neighbors. I have never been successful in communicating with them. I've just been aware of his concern tonight. As a matter of fact, another neighbor made me aware of a note that they were passing around about me in the neighborhood. I had to write a counter note to explain what I'm here explaining to you tonight, to let the neighbor know. If you'd like a copy, I just brought a copy of, not getting into reading it. But long story short, I have no plans on commercializing, opening a business on the street. I have children that live there as well. I just want to park my vehicles.
You've already made some statements.
Okay, thank you.
To read it?
No, that's,
For record.
It was a
Just
counter
for-
argument.
Yeah,
it's just a counter note for,
Yep.
no, no.
Got it.
I need it.
Just want to.
Okay, here and none more, close the hearing, close opposed. What is the wish of the board?
I just want to ask both sides, if the side will be willing to accept Michael to keep his flatbed for a brief period, 3 or 4 months. As he promised, he just needs extra work to get his parts to come in, and he's gonna get rid of it. And then I believe that'll be the end of all this. So there won't be any more flatbed. You'll be satisfied. You get your truck on the road, registered and gone, right? And you don't have to see this any longer.
Well, I also think it's a precedent that we don't want to encourage business in a residential neighborhood.
Well, that's the
So-
reason why I asked you. That's not the petition here. It's not regarding the business on this petition.
Well, I think there might be.
Well, it's not on this petition.
But that doesn't.
We could make a motion to accept it
Sure.
with stipulations.
Sure, we can do that too.
So that we,
Excuse me, I just think one is a reflection of the other. Is like I said, I got no problem with him having the variance, that's fine.
Sure.
But I think because he has the other vehicle in his yard, he's got no place to work on the vehicles that he's working on, so unfortunately, he's out in the street.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think one is just a reflection of the other.
So meaning,
Or an effect of the other, sorry.
if what Councilor mentioned here, so if no business on the street, the flatbed will be gone in less than 3 months or 4 months.
Sir, I do mobile repairs. I'm not doing repairs at my house, period.
That's not what we see in here today, right? So
I mean,
if I
I just-
understand what you're doing on the side, that's your business.
The vehicle's been there for over a year. It's not like it just came in. It's been there for a
Wait a
year.
minute, wait a minute. One person at a time has got the floor, just one person, and that was you.
Right, and that's why I'll make a motion for that. Hopefully, that will satisfy both parties.
But by law, I'm entitled to my one vehicle.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah, so
of course.
It's gonna be my flatbed that's gonna stay there. So I'm requesting just to keep my race car there. I mean, that race car is actually gonna go to a shop. So I can keep my truck there regardless. I'm just trying to get my variance so I can keep both cars there. The issue of having vehicles on the street is, all that stuff has been resolved almost half to a year ago, literally. He doesn't have
What is
any
your
problem getting
motion?
it. You should come inspect the area if you're concerned.
Wait, we have other cases.
Okay, sorry.
It's just.
So what is your motion? 4 months to keep one car, then move it?
It'll be, right, the flatbed, that's on this petition.
But he said that he can keep there indefinite.
Yeah, it's
So
not,
you have to pick one. You have to pick one or the other. BMW or flatbed.
I'm keeping my truck there.
4 months.
Mr. Lamar, you want
BMW.
to put some information on this?
Yeah.
Legality.
The council is, at the next meeting, next Tuesday, is going to be voting to allow home occupancies to park vehicles that are capable of personal use. So that's a change in our home occupancy. Well, I shouldn't say, I can't predict what the council's going to do, but they're considering that. A flatbed truck would not be a vehicle that, assuming it was registered and he was running his business out of his home, would be a vehicle that you could use for personal use. You wouldn't be bringing that to the mall to shop. I cannot guarantee that there will not still be citations, whether it's a registered or unregistered flatbed. If he's looking for a place to operate rescue, tow and rescue, it can't be on Alden Street.
No, I would never do that, sir. I'm actually looking for a place to lease.
Well, that's the reason why I'm saying the flatbed will have to go.
When I register it, yes, but seeing
Yeah.
how it's unregistered in Massachusetts, I'm entitled to have one unregistered vehicle on my property. That's just the case right now.
That's fine. What I'm saying, my stipulation is the flatbed will have to go. If you bring it in the future, you'll get citations. That's a whole different case.
Okay,
So,
that's the only stipulation you have.
Correct.
In 4 months it has to go? Or?
and no work on the property.
Right.
No work on the property or in the street.
Yeah,
Just on the street.
On the street.
Yeah, not-
Yeah, on the streets.
Work all day.
Yeah, not
In
on
the street.
Not on the street. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, it can't, right, it can't. So there will be a citation regardless. Right.
Do you have situations like that before, that you give stipulation for 3 months?
Yes,
1
we
month,
have.
5 months?
Hairdressing,
salon.
somebody wants to,
Right.
Nail.
yeah.
So what about everybody else that has their tow trucks, plow trucks, all types of trucks plowed on the
That's a, the police can deal with that matter. That's not what we're here for.
So can you make it clear, so you're going to give 3 months stipulation, that after 3 months, that car's out?
Gone.
Car's out.
Yes.
GTR or my flatbed?
Flatbed.
Thank you.
No, you make that decision.
That's the motion.
Okay.
Call the roll.
So,
Who's second?
are we doing 3 or 4? What did you say originally?
Well, 3
We need as
months.
much time as you guys can grant me. I don't know, just starting up the business, so I'm looking for a place to lease and rent. It's kind of
Otherwise,
difficult.
we get temporary permission.
Well, this is a temporary storage, so 4 months.
Whatever you decide.
Yeah, so we'll say 4
4
months.
months. Who's second?
That's second.
Okay.
Was that?
Is it until July?
Right.
So July? Okay. To grant?
Yes.
Okay, with the stipulations.
Correct.
So to grant with the stipulations that the flatbed will be removed within 4 months of July. There will be no work on the premise and no work on the street.
That was just on the street. In my driveway, I should be.
No, just on the
You
street.
can work in this driveway?
Yeah, as long as it's not blocking the neighbors.
Okay.
It's not commercial work and then
Right.
it's personal work.
Personal one, yeah.
Okay.
That's actually a better word, no commercial.
No commercial work, okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it last part.
No commercial work.
On in the street.
Or
on the property.
No street.
Right,
Yeah.
or on
On
the
the property,
property.
yeah.
You can do
No commercial work.
Just want to make sure I understood.
You can work on his personal truck in his own yard.
Yeah, it is on
The property and the street.
That's fine.
No commercial work on the
All right,
property and the
we
street.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. Member Lopez Hernandez?
Yes, with stipulations.
Member McElwain?
Yes, with stipulation.
Member Wooten?
Yes, with stipulation.
Member Crowitz?
Yes, with stipulation.
And Member Kellner?
Yes, with stipulation.
Thank you.
That's the answer.
So Mike,
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Have a great night.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I want to do whatever I want, right?
Okay, now you're telling me I have to be a next case. Number 0, Circle Avenue. This, yeah.
The petition's here.
Yes.
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 Do you want me to read it or not?
Yeah.
Oh, read
Those
it?
in favor, give your name, address, and your occupation.
He has to read it first. You have to read it.
Oh, I do have to read it.
Yes.
This is a 1 year, there's a word missing.
Case number 9965, 0 Circle Ave, parcel number 034-752027. Petitioner Perry Linway LLC, by attorney James Moore, to extend the term PF, a previous approved variance granted by the board ZBA case 9965 for an additional one year, commencing on June 30th, 2022, to allow the existing of 2,250 square foot building and a 4.5 acre of land to be used as workspace for the staging or unregistered motor vans or similar type vehicles as set forth in ZBA case 9965.
Okay, the hand is on, those in favor, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is James Moore. I'm an attorney at law in Lynn, Massachusetts at 85 Exchange Street, and I'm speaking on behalf of the petitioner. The petitioner received relief with a variance granted by the Lynn Zoning Board of Appeals in case number 9965. The variance, a copy of which was filed with the application, allowed the petitioner to use the existing 2,500 square foot building as well as 4.5 acres of the parcel to be used to stage motor vans pending delivery of the same to its customers. The variance granted contained a 1-year limitation that allows the petitioner to return to the Board of Appeals for an extension of the original 1-year term. Petitioner is seeking a 1-year extension of the variance with the right to come back for a further extension. The property has been used in accordance with the variance decision since the city issued an occupancy certificate effective June 30th, 2021. There have been no complaints filed with the city of any violation of the terms of the variance. Without a one-year extension, the owner will be unable to extend the existing tenant's lease. It is respectfully submitted that the requested zoning relief can be granted without any inverse impact on the area. In view of the foregoing, the petition respectfully urges the board's favorable consideration of a one-year variance extension effective June 30th, 2022, with a right to return and request a further extension.
Thank you
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Anyone else in favor of this petition? Anyone else in favor of this petition? Yeah, none opposed, those in favor, vote for those opposed. Anyone opposed to this petition? Anyone opposed to this petition? Here, no, I'll close it, I'll close opposed. What is the wish of the board?
We do have a letter, but this is a case that came in last year in front of us. We can certainly read
Hogan.
Councilor Hogan's letter, who is making a motion to grant, to support this petition.
Yeah, he supports it.
Yeah, so would you like to, right, should we read it or should we just
Well,
proceed?
that would be written into the record.
Okay.
My only question would be, how does this affect the harbor plan? When is that going to start going into?
I think this came from a council, the fact that they haven't finalized the whole Goralick Farm buildings. I think a yearly lease makes the most sense for the city.
I thought so too, but I wasn't sure how it affected the planning down there.
Yeah.
I was hoping Aaron would be here to like that.
So it's just a continuous from last year.
Okay, what is the wish of the board? No one's opposed.
I propose that we allow an extension of 1 year. 1 year with the option of coming back, asking for a year at a time. But at some point, we're going to be working on the harbor plan, so I'm not going to be able to.
So it's a year, you agree with it? All right, anyone else?
I second it.
Second, okay, please call the roll.
Member Lopez Hernandez for a year extension?
Yes.
Member McElroy?
Yes.
Member Wooten?
Yes to extend.
Member Kravitz? And Member Kellner?
Yes. It's unanimous.
Let's get that one.
All right, next case is...
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next case is 26 Farrar Street.
If I may, speaking with the city solicitor and Michael Donovan, the original plans that were filed prior to advertising did not properly delineate the two setbacks that were needed. One was a side setback and a front setback. And that has subsequently been supplemented with corrected plans, but it's a recommendation of the law department that this matter be tabled to the next meeting so that any interested party, and it appears that many interested parties, can see an application and set of plans that will be the plans that you folks vote on.
All right. We need to be continued.
That would be the recommendation of the law department as a result of my conversations with the planner. Continue, correct.
So which one is that one?
For 26
Farrar Street.
What was that?
There's also a variance for resident parking.
You haven't been called to speak.
You said what was that?
No, you shouted something.
Mr. Vitale?
Yeah, I'd like to be heard.
Yeah.
I'm not unfamiliar with that, but I would suggest to you that that had been addressed. I met in this room with the mayor seated there, Mr. Gator seated here, and the mayor's assistant there, city
Same, you
planner,
were
the
here.
work council. I met with this development team.
Right.
And one of those, this is a new layer of approvals by the city of Lynn, the development team. And the purpose of the development team is to vet projects before they come before city agencies. And I believe there's a letter from the development team saying what they had done and what they hadn't done. I met with Mr. Donovan, who is the zoning enforcement officer. And let me just correctly state, because this comes as a surprise, I'm certain, to the members of the development team, to the ward council, Ward 5 Councilor Chakoudas, all these people who showed up. The real question is whether the petition as submitted addressed the relief that's being sought. And so, since I drafted it, let me tell you why I think it does, okay? We start out with, and I'm doing this from memory, the petition says that the lot is not of the requisite size. And I confessed in front of the development team that I use that as a technique. Why do I do that? Because I've been burned in the past when I said a lot had 7,962 square feet in my petition, and I find out afterwards that it had 7,964. Then I don't have valid relief. So the first issue is the lot area and lot size. I believe that's covered when I say less than required. Okay. Next is there is a provision that for an apartment house use, and this is in a high-rise district, but a permitted use. So there's no question about the use. The permitted use is an apartment house in a high-rise district. With respect to that, when you go to the table of dimensional regulations, there is a regulation that says that for an apartment house use, you shall not exceed 40% of lot coverage. We're like 300 feet over what 40%, and that's listed on the chart in the plans I think that we submitted to you, where it said required and provided. So I think I covered that in the legal notice by saying we had lot coverage greater than what was allowed. Then with respect to further dimensional requirements, there was a difference of opinion between me, but not me and Mr. Donovan, but me and the architects and the engineers. And so, contrary to my usual operation and method, I put with specificity what the plan shows the front setback to be, which I believe is 7 feet, and I put with specificity what the sideline was on one side, 8 feet. And I think the only quarrel was that the box that was on the plan listed, in my judgment, and Mr. Donovan concurred with me, an incorrect conclusion. But notwithstanding that, I asked for a specific number on the sideline and the front setback. So those are dimensional regulations. Another dimensional regulation relates to parking. So in parking, there are two issues. One is the number of spaces, and the second is what's called design standards. And I addressed that by saying we didn't have the requisite number of spaces and that we weren't in conformance with the design standards. We're not in conformance with the design standards because the plan shows spaces within the 5-foot parking buffer. So I think that in terms of the advertisement of the petition and the process, it was understood by the development team, by the ward councilor, and by Mr. Donovan with respect to the relief that was being sought. What he wanted me to do was to make certain, and so I asked that the chart that the architects or engineers had prepared be corrected. But what's not changing are the dimensions of the front setback or the sideline, and those are the variances that I think were being sought that related to dimensions. And I think it was subsequently submitted was a plan that had, if you have that set of plans with the box, that the box, this little box over here, incorrectly on this column stated what the conclusion of the architects and the engineers made, but not unclear is specifically what is being provided. So I would say to you that with respect to the relief being sought, that to make it more clear, we had this plan done over, we had the box done over, but it's not because we dispute, because we'd be fools if we did. You can't get a building permit unless you can satisfy the zone ordinance, and the zone ordinance has requirements as to dimensions. So I would think that you have sufficient notice.
Sam, can you say something?
Yeah.
I think we have a recommendation here from the law office to at least hear this case during our next meetings. So,
well, you wait till he finishes his presentation.
Well, no, I just want to say
if we hear we're hearing the case.
Well, I don't think that. You know what the filing fee in this case was?
I know what it is.
Okay, thousands of dollars. I'm not going to commit my clients to spend more money to advertise something that we think was advertised properly. Again, I bet you this is the largest fee the Board of Appeals has gotten in years, okay? It's $8,000 filing.
What's that to do with anything?
Well, but I'm just saying to you that if I have to start over, you're telling me I'm gonna spend another
That's what I'm trying to avoid you
$8,000?
for continue, right, until you have the proper time to do so. You know, I think we've received a recommendation that we probably should hear this case during our next meeting. You
Well,
know,
then maybe some of these people won't be here when they understand what it's really about.
Finish his presentation.
Well, I'm just suggesting to you that, A, this comes as a complete surprise to me, and a surprise man said Boris Spassky is a defeated man, and I don't like that, okay? And secondly, the fact of the matter is that, you know, people didn't show up here today as volunteers. These folks may have, but see this line of people starting with 1, 2, 3, 4? These are all on the clock, okay? Because the hearing was scheduled. It would have been nice if somebody had advised us, other than 10 minutes ago, that the case should be continued, because I told the people upstairs when I was at the Conservation Commission I had to come down here, all
I'm
right?
sorry, Sam.
No, but I'm just saying to you that,
Okay.
that I take issue with the description of why, okay? You're free to do what you choose to do, but I just don't want it on the record that we did something that was either deceptive, not appropriate. I don't see Mr. Donovan, who's the zoning officer, sending a letter and saying continue this case, because I met with Mr. Donovan before the filing of this case, subsequent to the filing of this case, and subsequent to the development meeting. We all got on the same page. We had a Zoom meeting Monday with the chief zoning officer for the city. He said, do X, Y, and Z, and we did. We did what he said.
I hear you, Sam. I hear you loud and clear.
Can I ask a follow-on?
I can't say I spoke with Mr. Donovan earlier today, and for my brother's point, Attorney Vitale. Mr. Donovan stated that Attorney Vitale has always been correct. The architect and engineer submitted incorrect plans, and that caused a revised plan. But that both the planner and Mr. Donovan said that Attorney Vitale was correct all along, and what should have been included in the original plans, and there was an error on the design sheet.
Okay, so my question is, we're just voting on whether or not they can pursue this project, right? So do we really care if that front cover is wrong? I think that would be more appropriate for getting the permit to make sure that that front cover was correct.
This is the advice. I have not looked at any of the plans. Okay. I'm going by Mr. Donovan and the city planner.
So
this was an error that the interested parties would not know all of the variances that are required. The revised plans were submitted after the 14-day notice to the general public. So if someone came in 2 weeks ago when it was first advertised, they'd be looking at a set of plans that showed some need for zoning relief, but not all of the zoning relief needed. That someone that sophisticated, granted sophisticated, that knew the ins and outs of the zone ordinance would look at those plans and not see a need for a frontage variance and a side variance. And I have looked at your rules and regulations with respect to what is needed in those, and it is the initial filing, and it does require identification of each and every provision of the zone ordinance that needs to be varied in some way. And that was the basis of the city solicitor's decision, George Mycopoulos, Mike Donovan, and the city planner. And there is no suggestion for a new filing fee. It is just to make sure everybody is aware that there's been a new set of plans and give them an opportunity to review them and comment on them. And I know that there are multiple people here, some are butters, that may not be aware. And any decision here by the board is susceptible to challenge if all interested parties aren't given sufficient time to review the plans.
So we kind of have to be fair with everyone else.
Just a quick question, Mr. Donovan. How long were those plans been able to be reviewed, the updated plans?
Within the last 2 weeks, is my understanding from a development meeting. Attorney Vitale is absolutely correct. There was a development meeting, and as part of that development meeting, revised plans came about in order to deal with the issues as identified by Mr. Donovan. So it's less than 2 weeks, is my understanding.
Through the chair to Mary, did we get revised plans in the office? And when did we get them?
We got them by email. On the revised plans. I can look at my phone.
Like, they've been available for the public to review for how long?
No, it's
Not at all?
No.
Okay.
Is it required by the public to review these plans, or it just for Donovan, if the city of Lynn to review
Well,
it.
somebody wants to
Is this
speak
a
against
pub-
it.
It's advertised in the newspaper by, it's all about it, interested parties, 300 feet to the 300 feet to the right, to the left, across the street and to the rear. Receive notice. Now, they can come in and look at the plans. They can choose not to do so, but if you came and looked at the original plans immediately afterwards, the architect and engineer plans as filed did not show that there was a rear in sight. Now, there may not, there may be other opposition here that unrelated to rear and front, but a review of the plans that don't show the need and do not show compliance with our zone ordinance would not have been picked up by anybody that got a notice in the mail or read the first initial item report, the first initial item advertised.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler.
So if we hear it, it could come back in front of us again because there might be additional.
I can't say definitively if anybody cares about the side yard or the front yard, but they should be, we're required to let them know.
Okay, all right. So it makes sense to follow the rules.
I just want to say, the plans have never changed, okay? I said that, the front setback is 7.
You said just the cover sheet.
Just, the only thing that changed is the box that's on the plan.
That
Where
tells the
somebody put
dimensions.
an inaccurate zoning analysis.
I understand.
The dimensions haven't changed, the plans haven't changed, and in fact, I specifically used what I believe to be the dimension shown on the plan. So we're not going to submit a different plan or change plans, it's the same plan.
You know, I think we have to take advisement from the city lawyer.
That's March 3rd. March
I
3rd.
think we have to.
Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else in favor of this petition?
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
Attorney Lynn is saying that setbacks weren't on the plans, correct?
It was incorrect.
They were incorrect.
Incorrect.
So they did change.
The correct setback is on the plan. It says 7 feet, the plan shows 7 feet, it's 7 feet.
It was a zoning calculation.
It's on the plan,
Yeah.
okay? The question is, and this is like how many angels can dance on the head of the pin. Do you need to say, if the requirement is 10, okay, that we got 7? I told you why I don't like using numbers, but I also think when you use the actual number, you can't get any better than that. That's what it is, okay? And this is a reflection not on me, but on you guys, because somebody said, how can you know what's in the mind of the Board of Appeals? And I said, I would never venture to guess what's in the mind of the Board of Appeals. Whether you know that 10 feet is the required setback or not, I can't speak to. But I did make clear to you, and that's why I thought Mr. Donovan was satisfied, that I committed to say that we've got 7 and 10s required. So I can't make it plainer than that, but to me, the fact that it says 7, that's what the plan says. So the plan's not changing.
Thank you. If anyone has to say so on the favors, I'm going to close the favor, those opposed.
No,
can't.
I think we should take advisement from.
We haven't heard this case.
From Jim Romano. I think we have to take we should follow Jim Romano's direction. He's asking us to continue this.
Well, yeah, but we have to go through and open it for those opposed.
Right.
And then you can make the.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have not heard the
So,
case.
was there anybody else in favor?
No, there can't be.
Yeah.
What I'm asking is the matter to be continued in the next
Yeah,
meeting.
we need to
The
continue
point
that.
is that people that may not be here tonight because they didn't know that there was frontage issues and setback issues. So by continuing, it'll give any member of the public, to the extent anybody cares about frontage and side yards. It may be parking, maybe the issue, maybe other things unrelated to the zone ordinance that might be related, that might be what you're going to hear tonight. But people, to allow everybody an opportunity to speak on the issue would be asking for a continuance to the next meeting.
So point of clarity is, you don't have an issue with opening the meeting as long as we don't close the meeting and we continue the meeting?
Well, we never opened it to hear. We never heard it.
I think the advice is to continue this, and then everything can be put into place before it's presented to us again.
Okay.
I think we should continue. That sounds like the,
I never heard anything.
April 5th.
yeah.
I kept telling
All those in favor of continuing, say
Who's second on the?
I'll second it.
Okay.
What's going on?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
They want to know what's going on.
We have to continue to the next meeting.
Yep.
What date, what's the date for the next meeting?
April 5th.
April 5th.
Could you offer a moment for comment from the people who waited? If they-
We never heard the case. We haven't heard the case.
Right.
A lot of working class people.
I understand, but we haven't heard the case. We have not heard it.
Can you, is
We
there-
can't make comments if we haven't heard anything.
And why do you listen to in favor, and not opposed?
What was that?
Why do you listen to in favor, and not opposed?
It wasn't in favor, it was just to tell us, advise us, if we continue this, this could reoccur and reoccur, so we have to make sure we follow the rules and the laws.
Well, Attorney Vitale's argument sounded like it was in favor.
Why are too many people speaking?
Well, we have our city lawyer advising us.
Can I just, in the interest of, part of the reason that the city attorney, you know,
Why not
advised.
state your name and address?
We have not heard the case.
Sorry, I've been Simon Hose, I'm here.
And your address?
112 Exchange Street is where I work, which is in a butter. And I just wanted to ask if part of the reason for extending it to make sure that everyone with an interest can participate, which I fully support. You know, we've got people who were here for, you know, it took 2 hours out of their time. Is there some provision that without making it an official decision, you can at least hear some brief comments from folks who may not be able to come back for a second time
Well,
to take?
that happens all the time here. The people come and say, well, we showed up and how come we can't be heard? Well, there are extenuating circumstances. This is one of them right here. So we have to proceed the way the board wants.
I have a question for the attorney. Can we actually hear comments so that they're on the records instead of recorded, and then proceed with the continuation of the case? Is that doable?
I don't think so.
It's in the board's discretion, as long as people that were unaware of any inconsistency or error or any issues with the first one, but I would suggest that the petitioner should have an opportunity to fully present his case. I believe his argument up till now has been why he disagrees with the law department's presentation. He did not get an opportunity, nor did anyone else that may be here in favor had an opportunity to speak why they believe this petition should be granted. So I don't think you can go just to the opposition without giving, and that's entirely up to you folks, that as long as, the opinion from the law department, as long as in a future meeting, anyone that has an opinion about the setback potential inconsistencies, so it's entirely up to the board, but it should not be one side or the other. And if I felt that Attorney Vitale was getting into in favor, I would have spoken up, but I interpreted his comments to be in direct response to the law department opinion and not in making a full presentation on the petition, which I don't know how many stories it is or any of the details.
Exactly. We have not heard the case. Like if you just vote, you know.
Member Lopez Hernandez, to continue to April 5th?
Yes, to continue.
Is that what you said? April 5th?
Raise your hand.
Okay. Member Makawa?
Yes, continue.
Member Wooten?
Yes, to continue.
Member Crowitz?
Yes, to continue.
Member Callen? To continue. Call recess.
5-minute recess. This case is,
He's here.
Attorney.
Yeah.
Yes, this case is not as popular.
9991.
Can you read that? Can you read that?
Case number 9995, 265 Broadway, parcel number 074093006. Patrick Deverell, sorry about that. Trustees of 265 Broadway Realty Trust, this attorney Stephen E. Kelly, to permit the enclosure of an existing deck, patio, canvas roof with a permanent structure. The roof of the existing building will be raised to a height of the new roof over the existing deck patio. The proposed renovations are an extension of the existing non-conforming use and the proposed renovations are an extension of the existing non-conforming use and do not comply with existing side yard, rear yard, and front setback, finding that such renovations and additions are not substantially more detrimental and effect on the neighborhood.
All right, thank you. The hearing is open. The hearing is open for those in
Is there
favor.
another one?
If I may, I'm going to be giving a similar opinion here with probably, hopefully, a little less controversy. I want to thank Member Olson for finding and bringing to the attention of the Law Department an older easement where the City Council granted an easement for a portion of the deck that's being proposed to be removed and replaced, where there was specific language that if the existing deck comes down in any way, the easement is terminated. So if the board were inclined to approve this petition, it would in fact it results in an illegality in the sense that you couldn't build on city property. So there is a city council meeting this Tuesday. I'm going to be requesting that the Public Property Committee take this matter up in order to deal with this, to solve this particular issue. So the proposal to take down the deck, rebuild it, will be in compliance with the law, and it can happen. There was no opposition to the easement. Originally, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 2009?
2008.
2008, 2009, by the city council, the same ward council is here now. So I don't, in my crystal ball, I don't see any issues, but if you were to take this hearing up today and voted for it, he would be proposing to build on someone else's land. So.
That means he will still have to come back.
Correct.
After, hopefully you guys do grant him the easement, he has to come back.
You would absolutely have to come back. Okay. This would be another motion to continue.
Okay.
Hopefully the turnaround would be fairly quick, again, because we have a Tuesday meeting. The legwork as far as the legal description and the like was done at the prior easement. But again, the council has to have its final say on whether to grant the easement. And there was a financial component to the 2008-2009 easement. I know there was talk, I believe speaking to Attorney Kiley earlier today, that I think there was a revised, and I want to speak for Attorney Kiley, revised easement plan when there was a 2018-2019 proposed variance at that time that just didn't come to fruition. I don't want to speak for Attorney Kiley.
Okay.
Hopefully he won't be as angry at me at the motion to continue with Attorney Vitale.
I have a little different style than the predecessor attorney. My name is Stephen Kiley. I live at 4 Lakeview Ave, Lynn. I'm an attorney. I represent Patrick DeBover, who is the trustee of the 265 Broadway Lynn Realty Trust. He is the owner and operator of the Four Winds, as you probably know. Essentially, almost the same variance was granted by this board in October of 2018. And the way that, and we were aware of the issue with the easement. Part of the Four Winds building is built on City of Lynn property, and so back in 2009, the city gave the prior owner of the property a 437 square foot easement to allow the continued existence of the building over City of Lynn property, because at that time the prior owner was in the process of thinking of selling the property. So that had to be done in order to be able to sell the property. So essentially, with a few exceptions, the same easement, the same variance was granted by this board in 2018. Because of COVID and so on and so forth, things didn't happen. At that time, I prepared a modification of easement agreement at the suggestion of both Mr. Lamanna and Mr. Markopoulos. And I was told at that time that the process, or the order of the process would be first go to the Board of Appeals, then go to the Conservation Commission, then go to the City Council, because the City Council doesn't want to spend its time on things that might be of no use, because if the Board of Appeals never granted the variance, then the City Council would be wasting its time. So that's why we approached it in this way, because that's what we're told to do
we're wasting our time.
By my brother. Now, my wife is home. She had her knee replaced Friday, and I've been sitting here patiently for a couple of hours, and that's fine. I understand how it works. I'm not here all the time, so I don't get called to the head of the list by Mary, like some of the other attorneys.
And ward counselor.
Right. But in any event, you approved essentially the same variance once before. Not you, but Mr. Kalman. Mr. Kalman being here. I've prepared the modification of easement agreement, which I provided to the city solicitor's office, and they were in the process of scheduling it before the city council and the public property committee. I believe we've gone to Concom, and they've said that they made a determination of non-applicability of the Wetlands Protection Act to the project. So while I would love to come back again, I think you could approve this petition with the stipulation that it be subject to approval by the city council and/or the Conservation Commission. That would save me the aggravation of having, no, I shouldn't call it aggravation, it's a pleasure.
That's
But that would save me and my client the time and expense of my coming back here again. Everybody's basically in favor of this business. It's a very popular business in the city, as you all know. I think the plans are going to be an enhancement, a visual enhancement of the business. So I would respectfully request that you approve it subject to future approval by the city council of the easement, the modification of easement agreement, which I've already been told by Attorney Markopoulos that there's no problem with it.
And a conservation, right?
And we have to get approval, but we got approval before, and there's some question as to whether or not that approval is still valid because of possible extensions due to the COVID situation. But yeah, subject to approval by the city council and/or the Conservation Commission as necessary.
Good.
And that would save me
Mr.
from
Chairman,
coming back.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
I think we would also, there's probably some procurement where it's an easement, whether it's $1 or something needs to be done to make it an official updated easement.
Right.
But it also would, we would like to see when it's filed at the Registry of Deeds, the book and page.
Oh, sure,
As part of
sure.
that it's officially filed and it's not forgotten on the shelf.
Well, no, we wouldn't do that because if my client at some point in time wants to sell it, then we need to have a recorded easement. So it's in his interest to make sure.
So I would add
Yeah,
a stipulation.
that's fine. We will record.
So we know it's an official easement at that.
Yeah. Well, I think the city council would require that anyway. If they grant an easement, I think they would probably require that it be recorded. But I have no problem in providing a copy of the recorded easement.
Can I ask a quick question? Jim, are we allowed to move the sequence through voting now?
Yeah, as long as it's clear that there needs to be some other actions in order, and I know that Mike Donovan would not issue a building permit unless everything was in line, but it would definitely be the recommendation of the law department that whatever stipulation that gets all necessary approvals, specifically of the council, specifically of the Conservation Commission.
So would you help us identify the stipulation?
Well, that is a stipulation.
Yeah, so, okay, building department, and we said
Conservation.
it has to be conservation, and we have city council.
It has to have some legal interest in the land, whether it's a license, an easement, an outright sale, perhaps.
And then you mentioned deeds.
Yeah, the book, yeah, it needs to be filed with the Registry of Deeds with the book and page.
So there's two parts to your stipulation, Mr. Kennedy, Attorney Kennedy.
Approval by the Conservation Commission and/or the city council as necessary, and provision of a copy of the recorded easement to this board for their records.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the original easement just said if any part of the building is demolished or removed or any new buildings, the existing easement shall no longer exist and shall become a nullity. So you don't want to start construction or demolition until that.
The modification of easement agreement that I've already prepared, and actually prepared a couple of years ago, deals specifically with that. It says that that portion of that original easement is revoked, and here's new language allowing construction and so on and so forth.
All right, thank you.
Okay with it.
Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else in favor of this petition? Here, none. Those are here, those in favor, those opposed.
Which one are you with?
Favor or opposed?
He's opposed.
Oh.
Actually, I'll stop short. I'm Mike Pedwick, 8 Wendy Way.
State your name, address, and your occupation, please.
Mike Pedwick, 8 Wendy Way in Lynn, directly across the cove from the Four Winds. I work for a management consulting firm in Boston.
Can I get your address one more time? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, 8 Wendy Way.
Wendy Way.
So firstly, let me say, opposed is a strong word. I could be wildly in favor of this if it's done the right way, right? So if I go back, I've been there, I don't know, somewhere around 15 years. And when the deck was enlarged, it got a little noisier. Change happens. Looked much nicer than it used to. And I think, I copied down the words, not substantially more detrimental and effect to the neighborhood. I'm sure that was thought when the current construction was built. As soon as that back wall went up and the bar went in there outside, I'm sure that was done to save the neighbors in back. It made things substantially worse. I used to like going out on the deck for my little, sunset cocktail. I don't go out on my deck anymore. And Patrick did not do this on purpose. I talked to him actually, and he said, hey, look, I know an acoustics guy. And I gave him a picture. I showed him a picture of what I built here. And he said, you basically built a big loudspeaker, right? So he was kind enough to show me his plans a few years ago. And so I'm not here opposing Patrick. Love the business, think it's doing great. The last 2 years have been pretty good in the summer because the outside bar closed. He's closing much earlier. He had people out there before until very late at night drinking. A lot of this is probably the license commission and not you guys, so I'm just sharing the background. So the last 2 summers have actually been quite livable. I just do not want to inadvertently repeat the mistake of the past, right? So when he showed me the plans, I said, Patrick, this looks great. He said, yeah, I'm going to roll down the windows at 9 o'clock at night or whatever time, and I don't know how enforceable that is. That's a good intention, right? And so forth. And I said, can you have an acoustics engineer look at this? Is there a way to make sure, with the materials that they use, with the design, is there a way to make sure that we mitigate any potential unintended impact? Because, to me, windows and a hard structure is going to be better. It's probably going to look better. It has the potential to be quieter, but I'm not an acoustics engineer. And we made a mistake the last time with this temporary construction. I just want to see us do it right this time. And maybe, like I said, I could be wildly improved. This could improve the way things have been the last few years. And I guess...
Thank you. Just point well taken. The plans as submitted, the bar that's on the deck now is going to be eliminated. Okay, so that's out, and the deck is going to be enclosed. So you're going to have less voices carry across the pond to Wendy Way and Bachelor Street and the other abutters across the pond abutters. So I think that the plans are going to alleviate some of the problems. And we're not insensitive to what's going on. And I think Patrick has gone around and solicited neighbors and, asked for input and how is the noise and so on and so forth. But I think the new plans are going to remedy some of these issues.
I mean, they could be like, have the speakers point away from the water, because, sound travels pretty far bouncing out the water. Maybe putting dampers, sound dampening on the opposite wall. If the speakers are pointing in that direction, they can absorb some of that.
And there's really not much in the way of speakers on the deck. There's a jukebox and there's some music inside, but there's a couple of TVs out on the deck, but it's really not. There's no live music out there.
Currently.
Sorry.
But it's changing. It will change.
But it is a
let me know when I can speak. I don't want to speak.
I speak up, but you're all finished?
I'm all set, thank you.
All right, you got something to add?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been over there. It doesn't even sound like
maybe you have to address us.
I'm sorry, yes. I've been over there, and frankly, sometimes it doesn't sound noisy over there. People talk louder with the music, but honestly, it's not the music, it's not speakers, it's not the televisions. Since that structure was built, if there's 5 people out there, I could repeat every word every one of them said. I mean, sound carries over the water as well, right? But with that reflection of the hard surfaces, I swear, sometimes I want to just go answer their questions for them. If there's 10 or 15 people out there, it sounds like there's 50. So if these windows remain closed, if they're triple pane glass, if the insulation is done well, if the right materials are used, this could be a blessing.
Right.
When the windows open up, when there's a hardwood roof, when there's 4 walls, I don't know. I'm not an acoustics engineer. So I just, again, want to make sure we don't repeat the mistakes of the past.
If I could just make a quick comment, we're not here to design the space, but based on this drawing, it's going to be enclosed way better than what's currently there. The outside bar is gone. If you're still dealing with, music issue in the future, ISD is the people to call, Lynn Police are the people to call.
Two things.
You know?
One, it's not the music. It's the people. So
The
one
people,
day,
right,
everybody
so-
assumes music, they hear music. So one day, our city councilor, God bless him, told the neighbors, your only recourse is to sound the ordinance, call the police. The police, I heard on the scanner, when they came back, they were like, and this was early days, this has gotten a lot better. Again, I want to address you. I'm not complaining about Patrick, I'm not complaining about the business. Things have gotten a lot better. Okay. But I heard on the police scanner, there's like 50 people out there at 11 o'clock at night.
Police scanner has nothing to do with it.
And the police, and
trying to hear.
I'm answering the question.
I'm only
The police
telling you,
said there's
get
no.
off the subject.
Yes. The bottom line is, I would like to see some stipulation that an acoustic engineer of some sort review the plans and the drawings and the design and ensure that we're not creating a problem. I don't want to cost anyone extra money or issues. This is a heck of a lot easier to design correctly in the first place than it is to correct after the fact. That's my only
And how would that
request.
satisfy you? If an engineer comes in and put up,
If there's mitigation that we can do to take steps to not create an issue,
yeah,
it's a win-win.
okay, thank you. What do you think about that idea?
Not much. No, I'm only kidding. My client has spent thousands and thousands of dollars with an architect who's very sensitive to the sound issues and so on and so forth. So I don't think this board wants to get involved in designing or engineering this addition. If there's a problem, the neighbors, the abutters have recourse, but I don't want to.
No, I understand. I hear you.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else here in opposition? Anyone on the close the hearing for those in opposition, what is the wish of the board?
I make a motion to grant with all the stipulation.
Someone second it? Yeah.
Do we want to put the stipulation to,
We can't, but that's a design stipulation.
it has to do with the city council.
Can I read the stipulations? Sure.
Yes, with all the stipulation.
With all the stipulations for the approval of the city council and the conservation committee, and the recording of the easement with the registry of deeds in Salem, a copy of it certified.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Member Lopez Hernandez?
Yes, with stipulations to grant.
Okay. Member Mecqua?
Yes, with
Okay.
the stipulation.
Member Wooten with the stipulations? Member Crowitz with the stipulations? And Member Callen with the
Yes, agree with
stipulations?
stipulation. By unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no further business, motion to adjourn is on order.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You guys having fun yet?